Hello, Nigerians. Of course, we are still in the festive period, so allow me to say compliment of the season to you once again. You're welcome to another edition, the final edition in the year of Editors Forum on Galaxy Television. Thank you so much for staying tuned and keeping it with us all through the year. And today will be a very special edition as we will be doing a review of the year at large, looking at January till December, what has happened, especially on the Nigerian economy. But we won't be doing that until I give you some tips of what happened during the week. And of course, I have my guests in the studio who will be doing justice to the topic rather at hand today. So starting with the week, we came into the week with a very sad news, very, very sad, talking about the Plateau killings where gunmen stormed about 17 villages in Barkinladi, Mango and Bokos local government areas of the state, simultaneously killing lots of residents, and that number has risen to over 100. Many have been displaced, and this has garnered reactions from government officials, starting from the president, the lawmakers and civil society organizations, and so many more. The president had directed an investigation into this, and we hope that subsequently we have something, tangible from that. And of course, aside that, Christmas celebration went on in the nation, just as in so many countries around the world, with many celebrating. However, there was no celebration in Gaza, in Bethlehem, where Jesus Christ was born, due to the Israel-Hamas war. But then all over the world, in some other countries, Nigeria especially, there was celebration. And one question that was raised during the celebration is, so Nigerians say there is no money in circulation, but if you see the market, if you see how people celebrated, it was really nice and fantastic. So the question now is it true that there is no money in circulation? Is it true that Nigerians don't have money? But of course, I'll be leaving that to my guests to just do a very quick reaction on that. And talking about, still on Monday, the President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, received Nobel laureate Wole Soyinka in his Lagos residence. And one thing that stood out for me at that visitation is the Nobel laureate saying it was an embarrassing visit. Why? Because he had told the president not to run for office, and now that the president is there, he visited and discussed some 7 or 8 point agenda with him. The fact that the Nobel laureate came out to own up to his actions and his words, I find that very encouraging, especially as a young person. That so when we do things that subsequently we have to reverse on, then it is very beautiful to see that people will own up to it. And on Wednesday, a rather sad one too, the news of the death of Ondo State Governor Rotimi Akeredolu filtered the air, and it was confirmed by the state government that he died at the age of 67 after battling prostate cancer for a long time. And on the same day in the evening, his deputy was sworn in as the governor, that is Lucky Ayedatiwa. Also on Wednesday, the Speaker of the 4th House of Representatives, Gali Umar Naba, died at the age of 65 and was also buried. So a lot more happened during the week, of course, but I will stop there because we have a very mighty topic at hand to do justice to. So at this point, permit me to introduce my guest to you. I have Mr. Sunday Otibashi. He's an editor, National Daily Newspaper. Thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thank you for the privilege to be here.
And then I have Mr. Leko Shote, the Vice President, Guild of Public Affairs Analyst. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Thank you very much.
It's very good to have you
Merry
too
Christmas.
on this table. You said what?
I said Merry Christmas.
Oh yes, thank you. Wishing the same in arrears, yeah, and a Happy New Year in advance.
Yes.
Okay, so I wanted you to quickly give a quick reaction to this of Nigeria. Is there money? Is there no money? Looking at the celebration, people lament and then we complain, but still within markets, filled up and everybody in festive mood. What do you have to say to that?
Well, okay.
I'm sure you've heard of a musician called Dr. Victor Laya.
Yes.
He sang a song in Yoruba, and he says, "Ilu ile o, ko sowo dode." Now we started this year with no cash under the Emefiele regime, and then we are ending the year almost on the same note. I'm sure you probably get your money from POS these days now, after paying some kind of shall I call it toll or commission for, and as I was coming here, I heard somebody saying POS, POS, and he was hawking
POS.
Yes, on the street, on my street, and that told me something. That is a metaphor for where we find ourselves today, at this time of the year. Yes, I went out yesterday. I had some meetings, and then I had reasons. I didn't eat breakfast, so I was hungry. Then I went to an eatery, a QSR, and I saw a lot of people, spending money, eating well, and I was impressed. But I knew that they were not going to be paying cash; they were paying with the POS and not transfer and all that, which just tells you something about the Nigerian. That Nigerians have left government a long time ago. That's why we provide our own water, our own electricity, we fix our own roads, security, we even gate our communities. We pretty much have more private schools, even universities now, the rate we are going. We have left government. Government is almost irrelevant to our lives. And that is why you see Nigerians seemingly moving ahead. And that's why other Africans say we are aggressive. Yes, we are, because we have to provide for ourselves. So that's it. So if you like, there are two economies in Nigeria. The government's economy, which is based on the budget, and then our own economy, which there's hardly any link between what the government is doing and what we are doing. We only go to government when we need official sanction for something. We have to pay tax. We have to apply for something. We have to get a CFO when we build a house, and when we buy a land and all that. When we need to go to government, we'll go. But beyond that, we don't have business with government. So our lives have been privatized, and our economy. It just tells you that, if you like, we may ignore our government. We have done that a long time ago. So that's why Nigeria seems to be having fun. like fellas say, we are shuffling and smiling.
All right, thank you very much for sharing that with us. Okay, so let's move on to the topic of the day now. Review proper 2023 in retrospect. I first of all want us to be personal with this. For you, how was 2023? And then looking nationwide, what would you say the year? How would you say the year has been?
Well, 2023, I think it's just one of those years. You can talk about Nigeria. Like he said, Nigerians have left government. Nigerians have over the years learned to live outside the state system. So you go about, no matter how difficult it is, you go about getting on how you will survive. And as a result, so no matter what happens, people keep pressing on. Look at the January experience, which started around October last year with the Emefiele, Naira redesign. When we now started buying Naira notes.
So buying Naira with
Naira, and it was almost high then. It was almost out of each Naira note, to get it at that time. But Nigerians are still moving on. Then later, we have all the processes that they were playing their games. So we've gone to the Supreme Court, we have done this, we've normalized this, yet nothing has changed. So we are ending the same way we started, But Nigerians, their perseverance, and they are resilient, and nothing stops them. So they keep going. And I think that is the spirit that has kept the country to this point.
Do you agree with him on that, or you have a different?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much what I said earlier on. We have left government. My father told me in 1968 that Nigerians have left government behind. that we don't wait.
Even then.
As at 1968. That's how many years ago?
Yes, I think that's about 20 years.
It's a long time ago now.
Okay, so this year is a very special one, given the fact that we had two administrations, we had two presidents, and then we came in with one, and now we're going out with one. So, looking at the economy under these two administrations, how would you rate or say describe both? We had President Muhammad Buhari in office. His administration was still on till about May. Yes, so 5 months in the year. Yeah. And then we have President Tinubu now going on 7 months. How would you describe or rate both administrations?
Well, in terms of effect, you were going to ask earlier on that, how did it affect me personally? Well, you just told me that I look this year, I have this principle. I don't look at my environment. I just focus on what I need to do, and then somehow it has played out well for me. Having said that, now this country, we want to compare the past administration, the first 5 months of this year, and then the last term. I don't see much difference. If anything, I think it's even worse. Yes. We are still dealing with cash scarcity to start with. Okay? We have subsidy has been removed from petroleum products, and therefore prices of petroleum products have shot up. But transportation, anybody who understands economics, transportation is the most fundamental aspect of any economy because you are moving things. If you have any product that you see has moved from one point to one point, either transformed from raw material to finished good, or moved from the source of production to the source of transportation is basic, and I have not seen any serious move. They talk about CNG, for example, which is cheaper, but I thought we have Volkswagen of Nigeria sitting down there. The equipment, why don't you quickly go there, retool the place, and then start to fix? Even if you have not done it, let's hear that you have started. There's Anamco in Enugu. I believe it's still there. There's Leland Motors in Ibadan. The plant is still there. Why don't you quickly go there and start so that we know that you truly want to solve the problem? They told us that by the end of this month, the Port Harcourt refinery will be working. Now, let me tell you the significance of this. Importation of petroleum products takes about 40%. One product takes about 40% of Nigeria's foreign exchange. What that means that if we're able to be producing petroleum products in Nigeria, the pressure on the naira will reduce by, let's say, 40%, if you like. You have unified the exchange rate. Fantastic. So what steps are you taking to correct it? It is not by law or by making, but it's by getting you have to keep looking at the law of supply and demand. That's just the way it goes, Now, so we are still importing food. You are importing the most strategic products. You are importing food, you are importing petroleum products, even building materials, and the clothes that you are wearing. Practically everything is imported. Isn't there a strategy to get this the industrial base working? What do you need to do? I was general manager of a textile factory, a medium-sized textile factory for about 10 years. So I know how industry works, what can kill industry. If there is no power, Nigeria is not going anywhere. See, and the template, the model of our electricity sector right now will never deliver any result. Ask me how. One, you don't have NEPA in your house, you don't have electricity. If you are using prepaid, you go to your prepaid vendor. He says, sorry, we are just, I don't know anything, I can't help you. I'm just selling the credit. Okay. Go to maybe Keja Electric or Eco Electric or Bendel Electric or Ivan, whichever electric. And you go to their office. And then somebody tells you, well, it's what transmission company of Nigeria gives us that we can supply. You have seen a dead end right there. And where is even the office of TSN in Lagos? Okay, assuming you are able to find the office and you go there, they also will tell you, well, Genco is what Genco gives to us that we can supply. So I am not seeing any fundamental reasoning, in terms of solving the problem of the economy. So for me, I've not seen. If I see any changes, it's for the worst. Food inflation, the seaway water that we buy in my house is now 900 naira. I had to persuade one of my sons to be buying it, so that at least that is out of.
But all of this that you mentioned, talking about the scarcity, food inflation, all of them are on different circumstances. For instance, the cash scarcity we came in with was due to Naira redesign, and okay, they wanted to take off the old notes and all. But this one we have is kind of a different form. Yeah. So saying they are not different.
It's the same effect.
Okay, well.
It's the same effect. Yeah. And for the CBN to simply be saying banks are colluding with POS, I don't get it. It means it is not enough. There's scarcity. That's why it can happen.
All right, still on comparing both administrations. Yeah. Some say Buhari's administration ran a very fragile economy that was based on management. Fuel subsidy was in place and they were still managing and pushing it and all. But Tinubu's administration now is coming with the tough, the sacrificial, and we have to make sacrifices. We have to do this, do that in order to enjoy this. Do you see that to be true?
Well, I do not really think that there were sacrifices in the real sense of the matter. But for the former president, I think the former president was absolutely passive all through the 8 years. We had a passive president.
From the beginning?
Yeah, that was not responding to the expectations of Nigerians. So things were just parallel till the end. Okay? Now, I think that was just one part of it. So he could manage, perhaps, was he really managing a fragile economy? Because we cannot really see much stimulus from government policies that would have encouraged, let's say production, to enhance the productive capacity of the Nigerian economy. That it was absent all through the period, the 8 years. So the fragility was also according to the leadership, the kind of leadership we had. Now, we now had a president, in the person of President Bola Tinubu. Yes, the economy was on seabed when former President Buhari was in office. But President Bola Tinubu opened the door of the mortuary to the economy.
Oh.
He came, yeah. But when he took that decision, he knows it. He said that that the fiscal policy decision he made was harmful to the health of the Nigerian economy. He even included it in the budget presentation. So it was harmful to the health of the Nigerian economy. So he realized it. But the policy itself, for me, probably wouldn't have been as bad as it was if he had taken the appropriate action he needed to take. He would have shortened the suffering of Nigerians. The suffering would have lasted because he needed to have follow-up actions that would have not just minimizing the sufferings, but just terminating within a short period, so we don't get to the point we are now. But unfortunately, those decisions were not made. But perhaps there was pressure on him, because such decisions, if would have been made by leaders like Lee Kuan Yew of Singapore, he would have got away with this. The Jong-un of North Korea would have also got away with this and get the economy working. But that was not done. And if you are following events since he came into office, when he took about 2 or 3 decisions, they were very drastic decisions. He got the civilian governor out of office, removed fuel subsidy, got the EFCC chairman out of office, there was a shock among the elite community. Okay? And subsequent events that followed now brought the elite, they got reorganized, and some of them were even with international interest to also find a way to get him under control. And I suspect, or I want to believe, that he was put under pressure and he succumbed to it, so he couldn't follow up what actions he would have taken to get that work, and that was just how we now got into where we are today.
I want to know if you will be able to expatiate on that, the elite regrouping.
Yeah.
Will you? Okay, so let's take this commercial break then. When we return, you will do that. Just stay with us. All right, you're welcome back. It's still Editors Forum on Galaxy Television. So I was with you talking about the elite regrouping and then with international interest.
Yes, and if you knew the noise that followed the election, you know, from the elections, or the popularity of the elections, which we can say that aspect was valid, then to now upholding the elections, going through the tribunals and the Supreme Court and all that, and the issues that came up, okay, that they now followed. So there was tension within that group. And when they found that they were not secured, there was a kind of realignment, so to say. Because we may not see that in the open.
Would you want to probably mention this group, so to say? Or
all the political elite, they just be specific, not just about, because when you are taking points, for instance, when you remove, when you say subsidy is gone, there are those who are benefiting from that status quo ante, that will not want to give up easily. Because what it means is that, okay, he's probably going to bring up the new elite to take control of that process. Okay? Now, we're following the actions. When he now started forming the government, appointing ministers, you saw how long it took him to appoint ministers because they had to negotiate and negotiate. Now, he will now go to the stage that he was now appointing director generals. First of all, we were told by the president in a statement that Mr. President has sacked all DGs, executive secretaries, executive chairmen, managing directors of all federal parastatals. Okay, we got it. But he did that, he didn't sack one. He sacked every other one, replaced them, he left one. When he was not reappointed, he reappointed that one in that same position. Was the GMB of the NNPC removed? It was not removed. And that's a critical sector. If you want to go on economic reform, once you deal with the CBN, you deal with the NNPC, then you have your way. But that didn't happen. And that is why we are where we are. That even the appointments that were made, some were still like, oh, was this one right? Was this wasn't right? And people were even questioning, people were even talking about square point and square hole and all that, which I don't absolutely believe. But to an extent, you also have appointing managers of powers that can handle the public realm, to satisfy the needs of the people. And I think that is where we are, and that is where the economy is being handled.
Okay, let's go back to the issue of cash scarcity or naira scarcity coming into the year. The naira design policy led to that. We saw hardship and everything. Nigerians practically buying naira with naira. And the former president, in a recent interview he granted, said he needed to protect his own integrity and then to mop up cash in scarcity, from people who had stacked money. So looking at the 2023 general elections, how money was said to have flown, and then now the coexistence of this naira note, would you say that policy was successful or it was not even necessary in the first place?
It wasn't necessary. What was it? The biggest argument was that, okay, maybe there is money in the hands of terrorists and you want to make it useless because they will not be able to bring it to the banks, which was what Buhari did in 1984 when he changed money suddenly. And a lot of people who were said to have stolen money now had useless paper in their hands. Okay, so what do you really want to gain by that? Instead of getting the security agencies and the military to fight the bandits, you say all of us must suffer as a result. What's a lazy approach to security job. After all, Section 14 of the Constitution says security is job number one of government. You are losing a lazy man's approach. We, the victims, are the ones who are going to suffer for the terrorists and the bandits who are making people to come up with money, to secure the liberty or safety of their relatives. I don't really get that at all. And then, if indeed what is said is true, that we had about 3-point-something trillion naira cash in circulation, and then you removed 2 trillion old notes, and then you pumped in just 300 billion new notes. So we are having like less than half of the funds in circulation. We call it M1 in economics. That is money in circulation. And this is a cash economy, regardless of all your cashless economy. You don't achieve it by law. You achieve it by intelligent tweaking of the system, so that it becomes easy for us. You gently ease us into the new economy. You gently ease us into the cashless economy. The way it is, we are still a cash basis economy, regardless of all the literature, regardless of the rhetorics that people are talking about. The reality is that people, look, just go and find. There are some places, of course, you now flash your ATM card, but a lot of times, go and buy meat in the market and flash them your ATM card. If they go and buy Ewedu, go and buy Ila, go and buy Iru.
Even transportation,
okay.
were applicable.
I think in Unilag there was some kind of something. There's a token that you buy. It's not working anymore. So we have to be realistic and intelligently, but we don't seem to think things through. We just say, the West is doing it. Okay, the West, the metropolitan economies, they are compelling us to digitize our economy, to digitize our monetary system, okay, because so that we can help the world to fight against money laundering. But you have to don't they still spend cash in America and in England and in China and in Germany? Don't they still spend cash in those places? So we need to be realistic about what we are doing. But I don't even think we have thinkers in government.
Oh, wow.
I'm sorry, but we don't think. We just come up. Somebody just says, "Do you like this?" We say yes, and then we do it. Regardless, we make Nigerians suffer for the incompetence of those in government.
But the world is going the technology way. So talking about digitization, are you saying that is now not? We shouldn't do that.
Okay, let me even give you something.
Do we have the technology?
Let me even give you. People are talking. They say no to fossil fuel. Look, do you know how many industrial machines are in the world today? Do you know how many ships? Do you know how many aircrafts? Do you know how many cars in the world today that are using fossil? How long do you think it will take to phase them out? So before you go into your digital economy, even your Emefiele failed to understand cryptocurrency. It took the steering.
What's our Emefiele? I mean, he was you said your Emefiele.
It took the vice president of Shibajo steering him down before he could, but even then, he still could not implement the thing because he didn't fully understand it. And then they are afraid of bringing young people who are savvy in this thing to run it. Look, there's a TV station, MTV. When they started in 1983-84, the senior vice president for production was a 25-year-old man. Why? Because they know the market is the young people. So they brought the people who think.
To drive it.
Yes. So if you are looking at cryptocurrency, the e-naira, you announced it and then nothing happened. Bring the young people. Nigerians started Paystack. Nigerians started OPay. They're running all these fintechs.
Yeah.
Young Nigerians, bring them in. All you do is go and kill them at Lekki toll gate, and then you just waste the lives of these young people who should be making waves and turning this country around. Look.
Okay, let's go go to figures now. Taking figures from the National Bureau of Statistics. It was reported that the GDP in Q3 2023 actually grew by 2.54%, higher than 2022. And the industry that drove that was the service sector. The sector rather that drove that is service, and then followed by agric and industry. Oil sector was so at the back. So I think it had about just 5% or thereabouts in the whole 100%. So would you say the nation is finally getting things right?
We are not getting this. Look, Layo.
No. Looking at the let's celebrate the growth of the GDP.
See, look, please don't celebrate what is wrong. The point is this: the economy is not working. That's why the service industry seems to be more robust. Who is doing the business? It's the telecoms that is driving the highest figures for the service industry. Listen, are you satisfied? Do you think there is enough goods, all manner of goods in Nigeria? Are you satisfied that you are eating what you should be eating? You are wearing the clothes that you need to wear? Are you satisfied that the products, consumer products, what we call fast-moving consumer goods, are they really available? They are failing. It is when the productive economy, the brick and mortar economy is functioning, that we can start saying that the service industry is truly leading. It is because the productive economy, the bricks and mortar, is not functioning. P&G is leaving, GSK is leaving. All this, and then the president goes all over the world. He says he's bringing people. We are bringing them. While those who are already here are leaving. Look, what are we running? And then, so because I'm making more phone calls, because there's no transportation. Exactly. Okay, because I have to now call my brother or my sister in England to send me money. By the way, I understand that about 25. Is it billion or $1 trillion is coming next year from diaspora Nigerians. That is what is driving Nigeria, and the drug money that is driving the economy. People, the economy is not. We're not. My own
father. We're not certain. This drug money that you measured.
Well, I may not be able to. But we have a sense of what is happening. I may not be a police officer or a security, but we have eyes. You can see. See, the thing is this: my own father had 2 textile factories. At the best of time, we were hiring about 3,000 staff. All the machines are there, sitting idle.
At the time or now?
Right now, I'm talking right now, and we are even owing money to the banks. Why? Because the system cannot run. We can't run. Okay, so I now fetch up in journalism, in service industry, because the productive is not functioning. Yeah. Do you get the picture I'm painting? Those robust figures for the service industry is high because the productive sector is not functioning at all. Agric, when you are not even feeling safe on it, you go too far into the bush. Somebody comes.
Okay, let's say to Mr. Odibachi. I think he has something to say.
Yeah, you see those figures. Some of them are even based on assumptions.
The NBS figures.
Some of them, yes.
The National Bureau of Statistics.
Because they do not reflect realities. It's in this country they were giving us figures of foreign investment inflows of foreign investment in this country, and they give us very huge figures in billions of dollars, and they do not exist in reality. So when they come up with figures like this, especially this GDP issue, we need to interrogate them. Like he is saying, when there's no production, you celebrate service. But it's the production that sustains the economy. It's the production that empowers the citizens. So why are we not talking about production? Now they gave state governors 2 billion for palliatives in the 36 states of the Federation. Now when they spend those money they now include those as part of the GDP. Whereas nothing was being produced in the reasons, no matter how that happened. So some of these figures are assumptions, and we interrogate them. Some of them we disagree with them. And you cannot, what have they done to reactivate production in the country? Because one of the promises of President Bola Tinubu is that he's going to reactivate the economy, that we will now begin to produce what we consume and even produce more to export. Are we doing that now?
So
we have not got to that.
I think that your points now.
So we have the security issue, insecurity crisis, security crisis in the country, where people cannot even go to farm. Yes, they are trying in the north. They have been able to sustain the mass production in the north to feed the rest of the country, provide yam, tomato, pepper, and all that. But they are still complaining over there that they cannot get to optimum productivity because of insecurity. Now, these issues have not been resolved. You talked about the currency the other time. They were giving excuses like this he talked about. Then where is the competence of the leader to take care of the security situation in the country? Now we are talking about Naira redesign and scarcity. It's not even there. At this stage, we should be questioning the capability of the appointments of the Mr. President, because they need to tell us what is going on.
But it's still 7
Because
months. Don't you think it's quite early to do that? According to Professor Wallace Soyinka, he gives them 1 year.
That's Professor Soyinka's opinion.
That's his opinion.
The point is this: for me, I am an economist. I'm an accountant. I know that things don't happen overnight. But when I see policy direction, I know that, okay, we are going towards something. And the moment, for example, you say we are going to retool Volkswagen Nigeria so that we can start converting cars to CNG. We are going to retool Anamco in Enugu so that we can begin to. Investors who have money, we start thinking that, okay, these guys are serious about electric cars or about gas-powered vehicles. They will start moving their money in that direction. The private sector, I'm saying, will now start moving their funds. You see, the template of our economics is their problem. You want to start a business. First, you open a shop. I employ staff. You put furniture there. You put chair. You put table. Then you now start to scratch your head. You now say, hey, please, we are looking for a customer. That's the old template. All you have to do is first get a customer first. Before you then begin to look for office or workshop or anything. That is what we should be doing. That's what we are. Listen, we need to.
Isn't that what the president is doing, though? Wooing, foreign investors. So he's trying to get the customers to, come in.
It's very good. Now I like that. You just put yourself into a trap now. Without a policy that retains those who are already in Nigeria, they have seen that. What bigger testimony do you need than people who are, or negative testimony do you need than those who are already on ground living? You can't even retain those who are on ground. You say you are going to Dubai, to wherever else to bring people in.
No. I need to add to what he's doing. Because the main issue now is that the cost of production is high in Nigeria. So they cannot cope. He talked about energy. You remove subsidy, the cost of petrol went high, diesel went high. So those who have independent power to generate the factories are spending more. Okay? Now on the other divide, when you now want to use the public electricity, the tariff is going on. It's going high every day. So input into energy has now surpassed input into labor. What is being allocated for labor. So you can't employ. Now you spend more on energy and spend less on human. How can you create job? How do you create employment? So the president needs to, first of all, look inward and look at the domestic environment of economic activities and those issues that are actually frustrating or causing handicap for the existing investments. How do we resolve these ones before the new ones will come? Because
you don't even need to go and look for them. They will come.
The new one cannot come if you don't resolve that. Okay, look at it now. We say we have a government that is thinking. Now you are not taking out the purchasing power of Nigerians and say you are doing palliatives. You're now going to buy rice to be sharing to people. when Nigerians have been empowered,
imported rice,
and
empowering,
when Nigerians are
funding the
supposed to be
economy
empowered
of
to
other
go and buy those
countries.
things, because when Nigerians buy, that is when the production will increase. Government is just intervention and momentary. Okay, look at this Christmas now. It's our president announced cuts in transportation, with a company 50%. You are not taking on the responsibility of citizens of moving themselves from one location to the other. You are the one that removed the subsidy. You now came back to say you are now cutting 50%. So you're now going to take responsibility of 50%. So where is that purchasing power of Nigerians to now boost the economy? Because your intervention is a momentary one. It's not continuous, it's not sustainable. So they need to reorganize this economy so that the investor will come, you'll be able to create jobs. And even this revenue they are talking, that will come from people, if majority of Nigerians are working, they'll pay tax. You generate this revenue. Look at the budget. Look at what they allocated for debt servicing. It is convenient for them to allocate 8.25 trillion to debt servicing.
One third of the entire economy budget.
And your capital budget is 8.73. How do you run that kind of economy?
Okay, let's take a quick break, a very short one, and when we return, the show continues. Just stay with us, Nigerians. All right, you're welcome back. It's still Editors Forum, and I have my guest, Mr. Sunday Odibashi, and Mr. Liko Shote. Do I say doing justice to this topic? Of course. Okay, now, we were talking about trade, foreign investment, and all. Oh, speaking with the figures and facts that we have from the NBS, because of course this is our Bureau of Statistics, and if you feel these figures are not real, but these are our agency for statistics.
Let's leave this.
So I'm going to point it out. They also mentioned that foreign trade increased, our export increased, and then the import, was relatively lower than our exports this year. Let's have it that way, as given by the NBS. Now, looking at the lifting of the ban on 43 foreign items, would that not be a problem going forward to the economy? Because you've mentioned production all along, and we're not looking into production yet we are lifting ban on foreign items to come into the. So will that not be?
Those items were never really banned. It was that they could not approach the central bank window. But they could, if you can find your foreign exchange to import those 43 items, or 41 items, I think, that you're on your own. Why they even had to be talking about it, I found it strange. That what is the reason for this discussion? Do you understand? It was never banned. It was just that, okay, if you want it, don't come to the central bank to buy anything. You can look for your money wherever you get. If you can get it, fine. That's it. You see, I think let's not be carried away with these white men statistics. They are misleading. The most important thing that we need to be discussing among ourselves is this. One, can we feed ourselves? Forget about exporting food. Let's at least eat in this country. So what are the plans to achieve that? Western region, and I think Eastern region had farm settlements. Yeah. Why can't somebody go back and revive those places? They are still there. I mean, they are not going to reinvent those things. They are already there. Maybe you need to retool. Yeah, but let's hear. And when I'm talking, I'm not only talking about to the federal government. I'm also talking to the state governments. Go and revive the farm settlements so that they start becoming more productive. I have been to Akpoje farm settlement, which I understand is the biggest in Nigeria. Inside that bush is a huge city. Inside that bush is a huge city. Why can't we just go and get it together? Okay? If government cannot invest, then look for private sector people to come and run the thing. There should be some arrangement that, but the most important is let's have food. Let's produce agricultural products. Then you told us, I was excited that, okay, the Port Harcourt refinery is going to be working, which produces about 220
210
10 barrels.
thousand.
I was excited. And then you now came again.
But it's the first phase.
Wait now, wait till they told us, was it late last week or early this week? Oh, it's 74% mechanical completion. Then there is 84%. I said, wait a minute. Why they should have just kept quiet and finished the job rather than raise our hopes. Then they are now talking as if it may not happen even in the. I expect that next week Monday is 1st of January. Yeah. From the way they spoke, I expected we start running, or at least we start supplying crude oil into the refineries. Then we can start having. But what I seem to be hearing is that we'll be lucky if we get petroleum products by the end of next year.
Okay, so very quickly, as we have to go now, let's look at unemployment and underemployment, because that's another factor that contributes to the economy. Yeah. So still on statistics, unemployment this year was 12.2%, and youth unemployment was at 18.1%. What I would really want to point out is underemployment. Yeah. It's different from unemployment where there is no job. Exactly, yeah. Underemployment in youth was over 6.9%. Yeah. Now, so going into this new year, what would you project for the government to do in terms of policy and decisions, and then for the youth, because I feel youth, as you mentioned earlier, should be brought in to drive the economy.
Well, I think that is an aspect that is challenging to the government. But again, I think I must say, I took time about 5 weeks ago to look at the pedigree of the 48 ministers appointed by President Bola Tinubu. And my findings is that at least 10% of the ministers, looking at the credentials, 10% they have record of innovation, creativity, and productivity. So they are in the cabinet. Then there is also a group that their career is just politics. So they are also there. So personally, I would say, I would say yes, let's give them time to see what they do with the appointment, the managers of power. Okay. Because that's critical. Those that have to do with areas that deals with ICT, and some of them who are offered that appointment, yet they have that pedigree. They have delivered in their private, careers. So before coming in. So such appointments, we should expect more from them. Okay? Now, there are others. But where I'm also worried, because you look at the blue economy, the man that is behind the blue economy, here at insurance. And it's a new terrain in the national economy. So I'm looking at how it's going to cope with it. Okay. Now, I want to watch and see what happens in the next 1 year. All right. And I for me, if there is no performance, Mr. President must not hesitate to reshuffle the cabinet.
Okay. Thank you very much for coming, Mr. Lee Konshote and Mr. Sunday Odibashi. It's been a very wonderful conversation. And then next you'll be seeing me or my other guest on it just forum will be in the next year. So I hope you have a very wonderful celebration of the new year and definitely a very better next year by the grace of God. Thank you so much for watching. I am Layo Shobo for Lauren Show. See you in the new year.